Welcome into the Phoenix Sports Podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. It's your girls, it's Mac, it's Chierstin, and producer Sean behind the Mac. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It's lit. I'm super excited for this episode of the Phoenix Sports Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a comment and say hello. You already got quite a few of you there. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Ty. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Charles. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are super excited for this episode of the Phoenix Sports Podcast. Before we get started, however, you may notice that I'm sitting in this beautiful gray suede chair.
You may notice that my pants are the same exact color as this chair. It kind of blends
I know, we kind of have like a gray vibe going on today. I've got a gray cardigan. I'm in a gray chair, your gray pants. You also have gray shoes on. I don't know if you want to show the people. There have been enough feet on podcasts for PHNX this week, so we're going to keep our feet out of this one.
Somehow we sparked last week a whole conversation about feet that lasted literally the entire week.
Oh my God, Chierstin, you're going to cry. Please read the super chat.
Oh, $10 super chat. Numi stolen food reimbursement fund.
Oh, Chierstin's going to cry.
Is that an actual super chat? Oh, thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'll quickly tell the story. Essentially, somebody stole my dog's fresh food delivery box. That was his food for a month. Somebody stole it, so...
Elizabeth is coming in strong for Numi. We love Numi on this podcast. We also love these gray chairs. We got so sidetracked in there for a second. These beautiful gray chairs, and all of our furniture in the studio was provided by More Furniture, and they are the absolute best. They have the best furniture in the Valley, and they have a crazy sale going on right now. So make sure you spruce up your home with More Furniture's fall sale at morefurniture.com, and you'll receive a $100 gift card for every $1,000 you spend. They also have a crazy Black Friday sale coming up as well. So if you're in the market for furniture, now is the time to buy it. Go check out our friends at morefurniture.com. All right, Chierstin, are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, you want to talk about the Phoenix Suns?
I sure do. Let's do a temperature check on our Phoenix Suns. It has been a crazy hot start to the season. The Phoenix Suns are out of the gate. They're on a roll, and they're punching everybody in the mouth, except for the Trailblazers. But they have a chance to redeem that tonight. And I don't know about you, Chierstin, but I'm really enjoying watching this Phoenix Suns team play basketball.
Yeah. I was worried about it, just like the rest of the world, at the beginning of the season with everything that happened in the offseason. And then also, like, the first, call it 2 or 3 quarters of basketball that they played.
Yeah.
They were down bad.
That Mavs game made my heart hurt.
But wow, ever since then, they have really righted the ship. Their only loss, as you mentioned, to the Portland Trailblazers. In that game, Damian Lillard scored, I think it was 41 points or something like that. And he's not available. So they've got back-to-back games, which is a little unusual in and of itself, tonight and tomorrow, without Dame. So they should very well be able to take care of business and get a little early season redemption there.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the season, and I think we wanted to touch on this because we kind of mentioned it last week, and I was like, this is a great topic of discussion that we definitely need to dive into deeper, because we have had 2 teams in the Valley have a very tumultuous offseason with a ton of negative media, and one team has gone up and one team has gone all over the place, mostly down. So, the Phoenix Suns being one of those teams, and the team that has gone up and has done a great job kind of rebounding from this literal shit show of an offseason, the best way to describe it. I think it has put a lot of doubters to rest. It has silenced a lot of negative narratives that were surrounding this team, and watching them overcome such a crazy situation, a crazy offseason with just an unbelievable amount of turmoil to start the season this way, to me, has made me feel so much better, just restored my faith in this organization, specifically James Jones, Monty Williams, and this roster.
Well, it says so much about the makeup of this team. And when you just kind of dissect, I posted something about the trajectory that the Suns team is on, and somebody said like, well, we'll see how they perform in the playoffs. Well, okay, we're not there yet, so this is all we have to talk about. But if you want to go there, think of what separates teams that make a deep postseason run or a finals run. It's not just, we've got, good players on the court, which the Suns do, but it's the intangibles as well. And the fact that this Suns team was able to rally together after all of the outside noise. You had DeAndre Ayton that was extremely frustrated. You have a guy that didn't want to play for the team that's, sitting off to the side that we're going to talk about in a minute. So therefore somebody stepped up that has never played a starting role in the NBA. You've got new guys coming in off the bench that have played key roles. And you obviously have the ownership issue that they nixed early on, and it hasn't been an issue. And so those are the type of things that can bring a team together and show you what a team is really made of. Mm-hmm. And so the way that I look at this team, I'm like, okay, like hopefully you're able to get one more piece in here. Yeah. But this team is a great team. Like, I'd go to war with these guys any day for far more than just the basic skills that they bring to the court. It's everything.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I will go on record right now and say this without a shadow of a doubt. The Phoenix Suns have the best starting five in the NBA. And it is really, really cool to be able to say that and to watch them ball out the way that they have. And it's not like they've been given like these like cupcake games. Like, they've had a tough schedule out the gate. They've had to play the Clippers, the Mavs, the Warriors, the Pelicans. Like, those are all really, really good teams. And so the fact that we're sitting here now and they've only had one loss, and it was because Dame played out of his mind, and it's kind of bound to happen. But I think it's just incredible to see them take what happened for what it was, come out this season, punch people in the mouth, and really silence the doubters, because, we see what happens when that doesn't happen, and the narratives that can spin out from performances that are lackluster. And the Suns have been anything but lackluster. And you kind of mentioned it too, like, the bench was the downfall of this team in the playoffs last season. And so far, the bench has really exceeded my expectations to start this year. Jock Landale has been awesome. Torrey Craig has been incredible. He's shooting 50% from 3 and 89% from 2. Obviously, it's still the beginning of the season, so those stats aren't going to stay as what they are. But, the bench has really stepped up and has instilled a lot of confidence in me moving forward. And hopefully they can keep that up. I don't think, you kind of mentioned it too, Chierstin, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I don't think they necessarily have all the pieces that they need right now. But, after watching what happened with the bench of the playoffs last season and watching what the bench is doing now, I kind of am just like, reaffirmed that, like, I really think that this is the season that the Suns, like, this is their year to win the championship. Like, come hell or high water, like, the Suns better be hoisting that trophy at the end of the year, because this is the best starting five in the NBA and their bench is living up to expectations. So they got to do it. Cheers.
So I have maybe a little bit of a hot take here. Cam Johnson has been playing lights out in that starting spot. He had a phenomenal game earlier in the week, which he scored 29 points. StatMuse putting out a tweet that compared that
this is
performance to Jae Crowder's. Cam Johnson had more points in that game than Jae Crowder ever had as a Sun, 29 points and 7 threes, to which Jae Crowder apparently quote tweeted and then deleted April 12th, 2021, 8 trays, but really, who's counting? I'm happy for young fella. Played his butt off last night. Please don't hype this. You know my body. I don't actually even know what that last sentence means, but
we need like a Jae Crowder translator.
Body of work?
Well, yeah, and like, you know what I'm about. Like, you know who I am. You know my body.
You know my body?
Yeah, like.
I don't. Okay.
I
mean, I guess
like
it
body
makes
of work. Sean is our Jae Crowder translator. Like, have you ever seen that Twitter account that translates AB's tweets? Like, his whole account is just like translating what AB is saying. That's Sean for us. Sean will let us know what we're missing.
Okay. So anyway, so I'm not like, I love Cam Johnson in that role. He's obviously exceeded expectations. He's proving that he was worthy of an extension that he didn't get in the offseason. I hope he gets his bag at the end of this year. And, but there is something, and I mentioned this weeks ago, there's a big difference between the type of player that Cam Johnson is and the type of player that Jae Crowder is.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do feel like they could benefit from having a physical presence that Jae Crowder brings and the defense that he brings as well. And so my question is, let's just say, because I feel like it'd be really tough to be Jae Crowder, who sort of dug his own hole, and just sitting off to the side, looking at the hot start that this team has gotten off to and realizing, oh crap, this team is likely a contender again. And him just being like, well, I just messed up my opportunity. I could be out there playing. Instead, I'm sitting on my butt watching them succeed without me. If he decides, you know what, best thing for me is to maybe make amends and see if they'll take me back. Would you take it back?
I just want to point out real quick, by the way, that tweet that Jae Crowder sent out, he did have 8 threes that game, but it was 8 threes for 26 points. So he still had less points.
Correct. It was, so the tweet
Johnson.
was about the amount of points that were scored. So not like that he had one more 3 in a game. Yeah. So he never scored 29 points as a Phoenix Sun, and Cam Johnson's already put that up.
I mean, I think to answer your question, Jay's probably feeling some type of way right now, which I can't blame him. I don't know what the opposite of buyer's remorse is, not buying remorse. I don't know, but I feel like he has to feel oh man, this team, they're balling out. I am bummed that I'm not on this, on the court, with these guys, battling it out on our way to try to win a championship. I just feel like he probably may be regretting a lot.
I feel like it's a situation where it's you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend thinking that you're going to get better.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh my gosh, what did I do? What I had was absolutely amazing. And maybe I was the problem in terms of the not being able to make amends. I'm not saying Jay was a problem, but obviously something got to a point that just pissed him off where he felt fine, I'm just gonna go do better. And
I mean, there is something to be said though about knowing your worth and not standing for less than you think you deserve. And Jay definitely was feeling some type of way about what he thought he was worth, and the Suns not willing to show him what he thought he was worth. And so, if he was truly convicted to stand up for what he thought he was worth,
he hasn't been able to stay with the team his entire career.
Yeah.
He just hopped around, released, traded. I mean, that's the story of his entire career. So it's not this is the first time. It's do you know who I am? Yeah, he's and honestly,
it definitely did feel like he pulled the do you know who I am card.
Yeah, I totally get it. And if you feel like you should have been given, more money, or you were disrespected in some way, I get it. But at some point, you have to be able to look at it and say, well, what truly is the best situation for me? Is it to feed my ego in this moment, or is it to kind of maybe swallow some of that and stay with the team that's going to be a legitimate contender? That's my opinion of it.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have been in a much better situation had he just not pulled that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Jay, let's take a look at the comment section, because Jay did in fact post a video to his Boss Man brand account of him kind of just dribbling, taking some shots, playing basketball on his own in an empty court. And the comment section went crazy. Phoenix Suns fans, basketball fans alike were all commenting on that post saying, "We miss you. You're a Sun. Come back." Look at these comments in the comment section. People were going off saying that Jay should be a Sun. We want you back. And it seems like a very common theme. There wasn't really any negative comments on there. So, if you're in the comment section right now watching our show, drop us a YouTube comment and let us know if you agree with these people in Jay's comment section saying that they want him to come back, that he's a true Phoenix Sun, or if you're of the mindset that Jay is better off playing somewhere else.
I do think that if you're following his Boss Man account, so not his personal Instagram, but his apparel line account, you're probably a fan of his.
Yeah.
So
very true.
That probably has a little bit to do with it. But I mean, listen, how many times did we sit here this time a year ago or, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, praising Jae for, the FJ Crowder stuff and the stunts that he pulled and the salsa dancing and I thought that he was a great fit and a unique presence and personality to this team. So I hate that it got as petty as it did, because it's, you get defensive of your team, right? Okay, well, if you're going to be like that, I'm with the Suns, right? My loyalty's to the Suns, but I don't want to feel that way towards him.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't either. And I think if we're going to truly address the question of would we want Jae back on this team, we have to look at what it is that Jae provides that nobody else can provide. And aside from him being a big body with a big personality that's going to stick up for his teammates on the court, I don't really know what that value is, because Cam Johnson has proven that he can far exceed, Jae Crowder's stats on the court, and Cam Johnson can freaking ball when you let Cam Johnson ball, and he's outperformed Jae already. He's already, the game against the Timberwolves was his third straight game, setting a new career high for him in a row. So Cam Johnson is on a complete...
There definitely is value to having a physical presence, although they withstood an absolute war against Golden State.
Yeah, that's true.
Without Jae.
That's true. I was watching a boxing match when the Warriors were playing the Suns, and the Suns were fine without Jae. So honestly, at this point, if you're asking me, I don't think I want Jae back on this team. I recognize the value that he brought with being a big body and being a physical presence on the court, but I think where the Suns are right now as a team, they don't need what Jae can provide to this team. And I think, what they have on their roster is at a step above of what Jae was giving them. So I think at this point, the Suns have moved past Jae, and someone in the comments mentioned that they we could trade him for someone. We're definitely going to talk about that. But I think Jae's time with the Suns has come to an end.
This is all hypothetical.
Of
this
course.
Isn't an actual,
right.
It's not like the Suns are that we know of are legitimately contemplating keeping him around.
Yeah.
Sean, did you have something to say?
I was just going to say, you guys don't value 0 for 9 shooting nights? There's no value there?
It's definitely... streaky.
Yeah, streaky is a good way to put it, but no, unfortunately not. That is not something high on my list for the Suns. But yeah, like I said, Cam Johnson has just been going off, and if you give me a choice between Cam Johnson or Jae Crowder, I'll pick Cam Johnson any day of the week that ends in Y. It's not even funny.
So I do think moving forward, I think it's no surprise that in all likelihood, Jae and Dario are going to be packaged and shipped out for somebody at some point here before the trade deadline, but which is still a ways away. But I honestly think that their biggest need right now is getting another power forward in. So that's why I'm not hanging on to Jae. Obviously, there's a lot of people here in the comments that have said, we've moved past him as well. But at the same time, I'm I still feel like that could be what your need is.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I very much expect the Suns to hold on to Jae until the trade deadline and then deal him. I don't think they're in any type of rush, much to Jae's chagrin. I'm sure Jae wishes they were in a rush to deal him, but I don't think they're in any type of rush. And I think James Jones is monitoring everything that's going on. He's definitely still keeping an eye on what's going on in Brooklyn, which is a whole nother story. But I don't think that they're in a rush to get rid of Jae. And I think James Jones is going to play it as smart as he can. And if we're talking about what the Suns are missing to make a finals run, you kind of mentioned it. I think they need either a backup power forward or a backup point guard, a true sixth man, because now that Cam Johnson is in the starting lineup, they lost that sixth man that they had last season in Cam Johnson, because Cam Johnson is no longer a sixth man by any stretch of the imagination. So they really need that true sixth man. And I think, their bench is always going to concern me. I didn't think the bench was going to collapse like it did in the playoffs last year. So even though the bench has gotten off to the great start that it has this season, I'm still not convinced, and I still think that they definitely need that backup power forward or that backup point guard especially.
I think Campaign is a fine backup. I think that he still has a lot of season left to play as well.
Yeah. But, like you mentioned, Dario Saric, I think they'll be able to package Jae Crowder, Dario Saric. They have all their draft capital to work with as well. And I think that they could bring in someone that is going to be that true sixth man. So I think that's something that we have to look forward to, because I think, they're not going to just roll with what they have right now. At least I hope they don't, because I don't think they're a complete team yet, even though they have the best starting five in the NBA and their bench has performed well so far to start the season.
Yeah, I think James Jones knows better than that. And I fully trust him as well. Like, he'll get a deal done at some point. I don't think that anyone should be worried right now. I think you should just place your trust in what the Suns are doing. Thankfully, they've put themselves in a position where it's not like a... oh my gosh, like, we're doomed if we don't get somebody else in, the sooner the better. Like, they're just like in a really, really good spot right now. So I think everybody should just feel good about that. And then as far as heading into tonight's game, they are 11-point favorites against the Trailblazers, which might have something to do with, obviously being at home. Also, the fact that we're doing a takeover tonight. I think Vegas must have been alerted that
Vegas knows PHNX is in the building.
PHNX is in the building. So 11-point underdogs. 11-point favorites. I was talking to Saul about this a little bit earlier, and he said he thinks without Damian Lillard, they are going to win by double digits tonight and tomorrow. So he is taking that. If you agree, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using the code PHNX. Bet any $5 NBA money line and get $200 if your team wins. You can also boost your winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped up as same game parlays. It is simple. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app using that promo code PHNX. On the DraftKings Sportsbook app, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And any more details you want to add about our takeover tonight? Are we sold out?
We are sold out. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be meeting at the Ainsworth for an all-you-can-eat buffet and then heading over to the game to watch the Suns. So we are super excited for that. But we have a ton of other great events coming up, including we are going to be doing watch parties for the World Cup, all of the group stages for both Team USA and Team Mexico, which is going to be really fun. If you want to watch those World Cup games with us, you can go to our website on our events tab. You can get your tickets, and most of them are free. There's going to be one game, I think it's Mexico versus Poland, that has a buffet. It's only $10. It's all you can eat breakfast buffet. It's going to be so good. And of course, we're going to be doing that with our friends at Four Peaks, which is going to be super exciting. So check out all of our events coming up, and we hope to see you at an event in the future.
All right, so speaking of coming up, the Arizona Cardinals have a tough stretch that's really kind of a make or break, do or die stretch for them. They play 3 straight division opponents, starting with Seattle, then the LA Rams, and then the Niners. We all know they have a 3-5 record and are kind of trying to figure out how to right the ship here. And they've been having some of the same issues throughout this season that they can't seem to correct. So a lot of getting in their own way, a lot of getting off to slow starts where it's just like, man, okay, you can't play and literally this is a stat, 91% of the time you're trailing through the first 8 games.
91% of the time.
You are consistently putting yourself in a situation when where you're playing behind the just like, what are you doing? You can't, that's not a recipe for success, and you consistently start games that way. So there's just a lot of stuff that I think is still up in the air with this team, and a lot of criticism, even though, Steve Keim was on the radio this morning saying like, well, we might have a 3-5 record, but remember we got off to a 7-8 game, winning streak at the beginning of last season and then tank. So like really
thanks for a reminder, Steve Keim.
Anything can happen. So I think he was just saying like, hey, this is an opportunity. It doesn't matter the way that you necessarily start. Like this is beginning to the second half of the season.
I hate that. I literally hate that he said that, and that boils my blood. To me, that sounds like he's making an excuse for why this team has underperformed so horrendously to start this season. I'm sorry, but you just got a payday, my boy. Like, you got paid in the offseason, your head coach got paid in the offseason, and your quarterback got paid in the offseason. And for you to go out there and put up some stinker of games and start the season 3-5, no, I'm not having it. I am not having it. Like, I know that we started the season last year 8-0 and then we tanked. Thanks for the reminder, by the way. But you had so much to prove to start this season, to get your fans behind you, to get people back on the same page, to change the momentum in a positive direction, and then you go out there and you lose some really winnable games. And I'm just tired. Maybe it's just because I'm tired of hearing Steve Keim in general, but that's a different topic for a different day. They haven't scored a touchdown in the first quarter at all this year. At all. Like we already mentioned it, like they've been trailing 91% of the time in games. Like this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable for a NFL team who just had the craziest offseason, who had their three most important people in the organization get extensions. Like they had so much to prove and they have fallen so short. And I know that they're not technically out of the playoff picture yet. And the NFC West is a wide open division because of how close they are in the standings. But I'm sorry, like it's not. Like I'm not happy with the Cardinals right now.
The thing that sucks too, like not that we can, not that it's good to dwell on it, and we can't do anything about it, but the fact that the NFC West sucks so bad this year and the Cardinals are not able to capitalize on it.
They're the last team in the NFC West, and the NFC West sucks.
Like this was a year to be able to in the past it's been considered like, the best in the NFL, and now they're like among the worst. And somehow you allowed the Seahawks and Geno Smith, although credit to Geno Smith, nobody saw that coming. And
Shout out Geno Smith.
I don't even know if Geno Smith saw that coming.
Geno Smith saw that coming. They wrote him off. He went back, though.
Poor Geno, just taking shots left and right.
I'm not giving Geno shots. That was a compliment to Geno.
Yeah, that was his quote from a post-game
They wrote me
interview.
off.
Oh, okay.
I ain't wrote back, though.
You know what? I kind of appreciate the subtleness of, he's basically, that's the only thing I've really heard him say. And that was a very polite way of saying F the haters or whatever. But I don't obviously ever root for the Seahawks, but I can smile for Geno Smith just because literally nobody gave him that credit. So, I mean, good for Geno. I hate that the Seahawks are at the top of the division. I hate that the Cardinals are not taking advantage of, how crappy the NFC West is. And the situation just is what it is. But, I mean, I don't know if they're able to play well during this stretch. I think it's going to be a big test. And I don't know. I just sort of feel a little bit defeated.
Yeah. My soul has been crushed by the Arizona Cardinals. It's a little dramatic, but I had such high hopes for them, and they have just so disappointed me. It's just, I have a hard time tuning into games because I feel like I know how they're going to end in disappointment, and I just don't want to set myself up for that failure. But they have a crucial stretch of games. They're playing the Seahawks, Rams, and the Niners 3 games in a row, and if there was ever a time to win football games, it is now. And I'm saying they need to win all 3 of these football games if they want a shot in hell of making the playoffs, which
that's not happening.
I don't want to be overly optimistic or pessimistic, but this is do or die time for the Cardinals. And I'm not saying that my hopes are very high, but I'm just so tired of being disappointed by this team when they had so much to prove and they have so vastly underperformed this season. I'm just I'm beyond frustrated, and I don't really know where to put the blame. I feel like most of the blame lies on Kliff's shoulders, but I think there has been so much oversight on Steve Keim's end that has been a culminated year after year after year after year, and now it's we're at this point because of some of the decisions that Steve Keim has made. I don't know. I don't even know what to say I'm the most disappointed in. Can you point one thing that you're disappointed in, even, Chierstin?
It's more than just one thing, no. I think that the majority of what I'm disappointed in has to do with the offense, though.
Yeah.
And obviously that includes Kliff and Kyler.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries to the O-line that you can't really predict. But I think if you were to just speak in generalities, the most disappointing part of this entire team has definitely been the offense this year.
Yeah.
Josh just made me laugh. We're going to need to call animal control against Seattle because the dog in Geno has completely gone feral. I hope he does not go off this weekend. I hope he does not, for the Cardinals' sake. I think at best they're going to come out with 1 win in this stretch, and I think that if they can not get swept in these next 3 games, that's going to be a win for them, to be honest with you. I know no moral victories, but I do not have a ton of faith here.
I'm curious, looking at the rest of their schedule in general, obviously, like you said, Seahawks, Rams, Niners, and then they go Chargers, Patriots, Broncos, Buccaneers, Falcons, Niners.
Beat the Broncos.
Are you confident?
Hey.
Are you confident anywhere on that schedule? Are you like confident
Broncos.
going in any? You're confident they'll beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
Like you're convinced.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be like another like Thursday night football like suck fest. I feel like it's going to be like the battle of who can suck the least.
That's
I have
kind
the
of where
most
I'm
confidence
at
in that game.
that's kind of where I'm at with the Cardinals. Is I don't know if there's anyone in this league that I'm like. Well, there's teams. The Texans. If they were playing the Texans, I'd be pretty confident that.
I feel like the Patriots is a winnable game.
It should be, but they also just beat the Jets, who were people thought were very good.
Falcons should be a winnable game.
Falcons and Buccaneers are two teams that could very likely end up in the playoffs because the NFC South is not very good and could win the division. The Falcons have been a tough team to beat. Buccaneers have not been good, but it's
Buccaneers have been horrible.
It's Tom Brady, so I'm
you can
never
never
confident.
Count out Tom Brady. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I'm not really sure. I don't think I can unbiasedly answer the Broncos question, so I'll recuse myself from that matchup. But yeah, wow, what a schedule to end the year. Do you have any faith that they're going to make the playoffs, Chierstin, at all? I feel like I know what you're going to say, but I feel like I just have to ask.
I don't know. I feel like there's too much season left to go to even really pinpoint that, because at any moment they could potentially right the ship. I don't have confidence in it, no, but I definitely wouldn't count it out. Like, not at all. I mean, there's still plenty of football to be played. Yeah, I think we go to something that further goes along with the doubts that we have with this team being, and I don't want to act like I can coach better than Kliff Kingsbury, but we've heard this said all throughout this season and even into last season about how predictable this guy's offense is. So there was something that made us say what this week. And not that I want to talk about Patrick Peterson anymore either, because he had his time to shine last week and has been taking full advantage of that all throughout the week. But he had a very interesting comment on his podcast about the offense that I think is worth mentioning.
Yeah, for sure. It's been an interesting week for the Cardinals, of course. Before we get into what Patrick Peterson said, though, let's break it down for our friends at Game Time. They are our favorite ticketing app, and you can get your tickets up to 60% off when you use Game Time. You can get tickets to Cardinals games, Suns games, any game you want to in the Valley. They also have events and parking tickets. So make sure you click the link in our description to get your tickets to any event in the Valley. They have, like I said, concerts, sporting events, parking, whatever you need, they got it. So let's make sure you click that link in our bio and use that link to get your tickets.
All right.
Yes. So Patrick Peterson had some thoughts.
Let's hear him.
At what point in that ball game, Pat P, for you, did you come into your own as in, I got them figured out. There's nothing they can do?
First play.
The first play.
Yeah. I practiced against them guys for what? How many seasons I was with Kliff? 2 years?
Yeah, I think two.
Same exact stuff that I seen in camp and practice. Same stuff I saw on tape. So from the first play.
Wow. And I can tell you this much. It was one play in the fourth quarter. They hit you with a PI, but you ran the route for more.
Man. Hey, Rondell told me, if you go back and watch it, right? And he on the ground pumping his fist. He was like, hey, I flopped on that one, boy. I said, I know you did.
you literally ran the route for him. You just didn't want to break before he broke.
Man, I ran the route for Robbie Anderson too.
Oh, you was running routes for people out there, even though you were playing cornerback.
Come on, man. From the first play, Mac, thing on plan, from the first play, I knew I was in my zone.
My first reaction to this actually was you made such a stink about the game that you had and how you're back after having like the worst season of your career last year. And this was supposed to be an indicator of like how good you are and still are, but yet you just told everybody that you knew everything that was coming your way. So is it a cheat code that allowed you to have the game that you had, or was it just the fact that you still have it? But I think if it was just Patrick Peterson alone saying these things, I would be like, okay, you know what? Like we know that he loves to talk crap about the Cardinals. So I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, but it goes along with what we've consistently been hearing. You cannot win football games in this league if you have a vanilla, predictable offense, which is the exact opposite of what Kliff was brought in here to do.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure why we're paying one of the most dynamic and innovative offensive minds in the NFL to run an offense that is so easily predictable. A player from several years ago is running the same routes as the wide receivers are. I'm sorry, but that is unacceptable. Like, what are we doing? Why is Kliff making all this money if the offense is so easy for Patrick Peterson to read that he can go toe-to-toe with Rondale Moore and Robbie Anderson and run those routes? Like, what is going on? What are we doing here?
Yeah, and not just like, this is somebody who says that Kliff is still running the same things from like years ago. Like
the same offense from years ago. What are we paying this man money for if he's not doing what he was brought in to do and be an offensive guru?
Listen,
and change the offense and air raid this and air raid that? What is going on?
I was never pro extending Keim, Kliff, or Kyler in the offseason. I was never pro that. And I understand if you feel differently. A lot of people felt differently, especially in the Kyler situation. I felt like that was just a bad business deal all around, each and every one of those deals. And now we're seeing, like, now you're stuck. And I suppose you could fire, Kliff or Keim, or, I'm not saying they're ready to like move off Kyler, so I'm not even going to go there. But let's just stick with Kliff and Keim, because a lot of people have issues more so with them than they do Kyler. It's like, okay, well, you could fire them, and now you're going to owe them a crap ton of money. Like, what are you doing? This was not the time to extend these people this offseason. They still had a lot to prove, especially after the way the last season ended and the way that certain draft picks have panned out. Like, there was just so much up in the air. I don't agree with this extending. Just because we saw a little bit of success, we're like, we're not going to do any better at this point or whatever, so we're just throw money. Whoa. Now look at the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. I will say that I was pro Kyler getting an extension just because I didn't think there was a better option out there for the Cardinals at the time. And if this is anything, it's a quarterbacks league. And I just felt like that was their best option with everything that was presented to them. So I was pro Kyler more, not necessarily because I believed in him as a player and the talent that he had, but more just because it was like the lesser of two evils. And I thought that was the best route for the Cardinals to go to make sure that they could compete in this league with a quarterback who had shown at least enough promise to not risk not having on your roster, but definitely not by any stretch of the imagination pro Keim or Kliff extensions. I have actually been out on Keim for many, many years.
A lot of people have.
For many years. And I was baffled when they extended Keim, because I don't think his body of work, both within the organization and the mistakes that he's made without it, warranted any type of extension. So the fact that they both got those extensions and now we're in the position that we're in, where former players are telling us that their offense is the same thing it was years ago, I am beside myself. Like, I don't even know if I quite accurately have the words to describe like how disappointed I am in this organization. And I know that Patrick Peterson feels some type of way about the Cardinals. obviously the Cardinals kind of like live rent free in that man's head. So some of the things that he said might be a little bit of an exaggeration, or there might be coming from a place of like spite and they're not 100% accurate. But the tape speaks for itself. Go watch that game. Patrick Peterson had been struggling this entire year. And the one game that he has where he actually looks like a lockdown corner, it's against the Cardinals. And it looks like he knows what's happening in that game because he does. Like, I'm so frustrated. I don't even think there are enough words to describe how frustrated I am with the fact that we're in this situation and we're stuck between a worse rock and a hard place, because like you said, if they fire them, they still get a ton of money. Like, it's not my money. Like, as someone in the comments said, it ain't my money. Jean-Paul Edward Dio said that. But just bad decisions all around. And if Kliff is really not the offensive guru that we were promised, then we need to get a play caller who is, because what the actual F is going on in that organization.
Yeah, somebody did mention, speaking of like what the F is going on, Sean, can you scroll up a little bit in the comments? Somebody mentioned something about the way that Kliff handled the whole Pat P thing. Keim blew it with Pat P from what I've heard. Keim ghosted Pat in free agency and didn't have the cojones to tell him the team was going in another direction. Yeah, I think we can all gather that that's probably what happened. And so, like, I honestly don't blame Pat, because, you know, he was videoed after the game saying, I still haven't heard from Keim, tell him to give me a call. No, I want to talk to him face to face. I never heard anything from him. And I get how that's kind of disrespectful. So like, I do think that Keim dropped the ball in that manner, and it kind of makes me question, like, well, how is he operating within this organization? Like, you can't show a guy that played for you, that was an all-pro corner for, and played for a decade for you guys, so a little bit of respect of like giving you a phone call saying that you're going in a different direction before, so that's like another thing that I took away from this entire situation too, is like, well, wait, like,
didn't he burn the bridge with Honey Badger too?
I don't know. I don't exactly know exactly what happened in that situation. I mean, I did at one point. I don't really remember to speak on it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I don't agree with burning bridges, especially for players who have dedicated a large chunk of your career. I mean, there's a way of going about things and a way of not. And I'm not saying that if Keim had talked to Pat P and said, hey, we're going to go in a different direction, that would have been received well either. I don't know. But at least you can excuse yourself from, 2 years later, this being a whole national story because everyone was talking about it, because he made, such a stink about saying like, yeah, I never heard from the general manager, not once. Mm-hmm. And then also going on to say some other things that kind of shady things that happen behind the scenes within that organization. Like, just don't put yourself in that position.
It feels like any former player that comes away from this organization just doesn't generally have good feelings about it after they leave. Like Chandler Jones. Did we forget what happened with Chandler Jones? Like, Chandler Jones is also not very happy with the Cardinals and the way that he was treated either. And I think it just adds to the resume of Steve Keim not being a good GM. Dickie, I hate saying your name, but I'm just going to go for it. Dickie Talkie in the comments saying Keim should have been gone after his DUI. That's what I was talking about when I said the out of organization decisions as well. And I agree 100%. That was when I was out on Keim as well. I don't think you can have a man leading your organization that can't set an example for his players. But yeah, I think the way that things have happened, Clayton in the comments saying they have one playoff win. Yep. Also another thing to add to the resume of why this was all bad decision making. There's no excuse for it, and I don't have one. I can't explain to you guys why they've done what they've done, why they kept Keim, why they kept Kliff, when I don't think either of them had done enough to deserve it. I have my feelings about the Kyler situation, but I'm beyond words at this point, and in no way, shape, or form should Keim be the GM of this team. I'm comfortable saying that, but it's just I'm beyond words.
There is one last thing I took away from the Patrick Peterson debacle, and he didn't outright say this, but like, I'm kind of reading between the lines. I think he's telling everybody that you should add him to your pick'em game on Underdog Fantasy, because apparently he thinks that he's going to make some plays. So it is the easiest and most fun way to spice up your football season. Just look to your favorite or least favorite player stats. Pick between 2 and 5 players for your pick'em entry and whether you think they'll end up with a higher or lower total than the stat in this week's game. Get all your picks right and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. So again, he didn't say it, but like I think that's what he's hinting at. It all has to do with underdog fantasy and putting your money on Pat P moving forward. You can search in the App Store or click the link in the show notes. Signing up with that promo code PHNX and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy using the promo code PHNX to get in on the action today.
Woo! All right. Speaking of the Cardinals, it is World Series season.
Yeah.
Chierstin, are you watching any of the World Series?
I am. I think I've said it before. I just don't have like a big rooting interest in either one of these teams, so it's hard for me to. I'm pretty good at always picking a storyline of some sort and just saying like, okay, I'm gonna roll with this team. This is who I'm rooting for. But like, it's really hard for me to pick one of these teams.
You better be anti-Astros, ma'am. America is anti-Astros.
I know, but I hate to be like
False. Pro Astros right here.
Why?
Dusty Baker, their manager, I love. Would love to see a black man win a World Series, and he's been so close so many times it has not gotten there.
I do like Dusty.
I also really like Justin Verlander. He got the win yesterday, and Yordan Alvarez. Like, Altuve sucked, so that makes me feel good. Like he's not the reason they're winning the World Series. But plus I hate Philly fans. They're some of my least favorite fans.
The Phillies have been
funny.
No, yeah, they're funny until they're throwing snowballs and batteries at Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Fans in that area of the country, Philly fans, Pittsburgh fans, Boston fans, all of them, they are everything. They want to be Buffalo fans.
Well, Zach Ertz
and they're not.
Is not a traditional Philly fan, and he obviously has a rooting interest in this World Series. So when he was asked at the press conference who he was cheering for and if he might have anything against a certain Houstonian on the team, here's was his answer.
I'm rooting for them, of course. JJ and I have a bet. He's obviously a Houston fan. Tough one last night, but flush that loss and move on, and hopefully find a way to win this one in Philly. We need this one. It's, gentleman's bet.
So they have a gentleman's bet on who will win the World Series.
What exactly does that mean? You don't say anything?
I think, like you don't disclose it, right, Sean?
Disclose.
We need our translator.
Gentleman's bet would just be like, it's kind of like a mutual agreement. Like there's no like it would just be like if you and I said, oh, do you want to bet on like whoever wins the World Series has to dye their hair pink. Like,
got it. Okay.
Like there's no like formal agreement. It's just kind of like an understanding,
like a handshake.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If Zach Ertz is obviously Team Phillies, so if Zach Ertz is Team Phillies, I'm Team Phillies because I love Zach Ertz. Also, Makayla Bridges is major Team Phillies.
Yeah.
I think that man's head might explode if the Phillies win the World Series. So that's enough for me.
They're the team that's more fun to watch. I will say that. Like they're I think they're a good time. I love to hate Bryce Harper, but you can't really look away from what he's done either. So. Yeah,
it's true.
That's the only reason. That's the big conflict for me is I love Bryce Harper.
I will just never forgive the Astros for cheating and winning a World Series, and that to me is unforgivable and unredeemable. And I hope their organization suffers for the next 100 years and never wins anything.
It's not Dusty Baker's fault.
It's not Dusty Baker's fault. He was not there.
I'm aware. I just hate the organization.
A lot of the pieces are not there anymore.
They have a key piece. I feel
the big ones, Altuve and Bregman, are there. So that's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is I hate the whole organization for what they did to baseball.
But I mean, that's kind of why I want them to win the World Series too. Is like I would like them to just show that the dominance they've had these last few years was not just because they were cheating. And if they win the World Series this year, I think that proves, like, look at us.
I think they already proved that.
I think so too, but I think most baseball fans are just going to be like, oh, you guys have been to how many World Series? Oh, trash cans. Oh, and it's like, okay, I get it to a certain extent, but at the same time, you got to move on eventually. Like, they're not the only team that was cheating. That's just a fact of the matter.
I know that they're not the only team, but they're the ones that got caught and.
They are the only team that cheated their way to a World Series. So I understand the hate. I just
if you're in the comments right now, drop us a comment and let us know who you're cheering for, either the Astros or the Phillies. The Astros have a 3-2 series lead.
Yes,
3-2 series lead. Boo. Boo, boo, boo. They won last night 3-2. So very unfortunate. I'm pro Phillies. Let us know what you guys are on. What are you going with, Phillies or Astros?
I guess Phillies.
Yes,
that's
my
what
girl.
I would like to see. Because I can't.
Both teams have fun.
What?
I thought you were going to say, like, I want both teams to have fun.
Oh, no. I want to see, because I can't stand Phillies fans. I think every Phillies fan should take an OGs before the game. So everybody's just, like, calm and happy, and nobody's throwing stuff or getting in fights. Did you guys see that there was, like, also a girl fight that broke, like a brawl between like Phillies fans? Yeah, there was like 4 girls. Like, everybody just needs to take an OGs.
Chill out, people.
I also saw a clip of like, it looked like people on the roof of the stadium yesterday. I don't really understand what was going on there.
No.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. How did they even get on the roof of the stadium?
If you're going that hard, you definitely need an OGs.
You definitely need an OGs. And we have some really great news about our partnership with them. We obviously love OGs here. And we have a new deal.
We do. We have a new contract with our friends at OGs. We are stoked about it. The terms of the agreement weren't released at the time, but we are now here and prepared to reveal that OGs has renewed with PHNX across our entire network, and we're so excited about it. We're going to be doing some really fun events in the future. There's going to be some members only things that are exclusive and sponsored by OGs. So if you want to get on that, you better sign up to be a PHNX member. So we're super excited to have OGs along the ride with us. They've been an incredible partner, and it has been awesome to be a part of their growth as a company as well as ours. And don't forget that if you are going to partake in some OGs, you got to be 21 years or older, and you can find them at your local dispensary. Everyone in the comments seems pretty pro Phillies. Everyone, Daniel is giving us credit for our transition to ad reads. Thank you. We actually won the Ad Readers of the Month award from Max last month. So thank you for noticing our talents.
We got
when
some
it comes
trinkets from a thrift store down the road.
Yeah,
from Max.
Great prizes. Thank you for noticing our amazing transitions, Daniel. But yeah, everyone seems really Team Philly, which I agree with, because the Astros also, Jan made a great point that the Astros cheated and weren't held accountable, which is what makes me the most mad at them, is that they weren't held accountable. So thank you for making that point. I agree. So
like
go Phillies, man. I love watching World Series baseball, especially because none of my teams were able to make it there. So gotta enjoy it for what it is. Speaking of enjoying things, Chierstin, you went on a little adventure.
Yeah, so with the weather cooling down, my weekends now consist of hiking, and the first, I don't know if I'd call it like a big hike, but significant hike. I was like, I have to go hike 4 Peaks and take a 4 Peaks beer with me. It might be the most basic thing of all time, but don't knock it till you try it. Yeah, so I brought my favorite hazy IPA with me.
Such a good
Had a little
beer.
Summit beer. Had a 4 Peaks while looking at the 4 Peaks, and I highly, highly recommend that hike. It's beautiful. But if you hike it, all hikers know you have to bring a Summit beer, and there's no better beer to drink at the summit of 4 Peaks than 4 Peaks. I think we had a few wows. Every one I was with had a different beer, so it fit our personalities, and it was a fun time.
That's awesome. I'm super jealous, except like I hate hiking and anything active. So I was very excited to get the pictures after you are all done and safe, and I enjoyed it from my perspective of my bed.
Oh, we saw 2 tarantulas.
Yep. Nope. Super glad I was
Hell
not
no.
there.
2 of them.
Absolutely not. Nope. You
can
will never
keep all
catch
of
me
that.
in nature doing anything that raises my heart rate over 80 beats per minute. Hiking in the wilderness. That's absolutely never going to happen. But I'm so glad you had a good time and you made it back safe and you didn't die by tarantula bite. Are they poisonous? Is that a thing? I don't know.
So I did look into it a little bit. They are, but apparently they can't. They're I don't want to call it a mouth, a bee. I don't know what it is. It can't.
Penetrate?
It's
can't
it's like
bite your
higher
skin?
up, like it can't reach a human. So I think they can, like pets and stuff like that. Yes,
Yeah.
but
Because
first,
people keep tarantulas as pets. I mean, I guess people keep.
but I think they take the
horrendous.
poison out of them.
Oh, I just thought they weren't like dangerous to humans, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah,
But
they
either way,
aren't
yeah.
actually dangerous to humans, contrary to what we're all made to believe. But
They
they are
look scary.
scary.
Yeah.
I screamed
Oh my God, I would have lost my mind. I would
Yeah,
have gone
hell
home
nah.
immediately. You would have never caught me out there to begin with,
Well,
but that would have been the end.
The first time I put my hand on a rock to like
No.
put myself
no.
up, and it was
Oh, God,
right
no.
there.
Oh, God, no.
And
Nope.
then the second time is
Nope.
I was taking a step forward, and I was like right.
Nope.
Oh,
next to
I would
it.
honestly
Nope.
rather
I
have
would've
one
been
touch
done.
my hand than to step on
I would have
one.
been done. I would have been so
I
done.
would absolutely go hiking with y'all because I'm pretty sure.
With her, not y'all. I don't
no,
do that.
well, y'all, more the better. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I'm faster than y'all. I think.
Dude.
And if someone's come,
You
don't
do
gotta
not
be the
want to
fastest.
smoke
You gotta
with
be faster than
Chierstin
the
when it comes
slowest.
to outdoor stuff. You are barking up the wrong damn tree. That woman will wipe your floor with her ass when it comes to anything outdoors.
Nah, I believe that. Like when it comes to like straight up hiking, Chierstin, you'd have to make a couple stops for me.
Yeah.
Tow Tree helped me
shot.
move some furniture into my apartment a couple weeks ago. More furniture, obviously, and I had to stop like every flight of steps because
Yeah.
I didn't have it in me.
Yeah,
The
no.
endurance isn't there
Chierstin
yet.
is unbelievable with that stuff, and I will always admire her for that because that is a talent I was not given, nor will I ever partake in any of that type of stuff.
Jose's fact here, if this is true, is terrifying. That tarantulas can throw their hair as a defense mechanism. Absolutely not. No, thank you.
They
That's
can do
No,
what?
scary.
With their where?
Throw their hair, so like they're like mini needles.
No. Unalive.
Said it once, I'll say
Unalive.
it again. Hell no.
That's a big hell nah. Charles saying that I'm about to jump out of my moor chair. Yeah,
Ooh,
I'm
Chris
so uncomfortable.
Loves tarantulas.
Ew,
That's not
Chris,
surprising. I feel like Chris is
no.
down like that.
Oh no.
That takes a certain level of like chillness that I feel like most of us don't have, but Chris definitely has.
Absolutely not. You will not catch me anywhere near any of those creatures.
Well,
But-
I know you mentioned it earlier in the show, but might as well, while we're talking about Four Peaks, just reiterate that we are teaming up with them to host all U.S. and Mexico World Cup matches at their 8th Street pub. So we're going to have beer specials,
Football.
giveaways, guest appearances, and more. You can check out the link in our show notes to register for free.
For free.
Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Yay, so excited. It's the weekend. It's Friday then.
It's Saturday, Sunday, what?
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode of the Phoenix Sports Podcast. We love you so much. Everyone in the comments, everyone for watching, everyone for listening. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review if you can. It helps us out so much and we appreciate it more than you ever know. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PHNX_sports, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. And don't forget to sign up for a membership. We actually have really exciting announcements coming about our membership program, so stay tuned for that. But I promise you, you will want to be a part of the PHNX family after you see what is about to happen because it is going to be so cool. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed, beautiful weekend. If you're coming to our Suns takeover tonight, we'll see you there.
Oh my gosh. Say hello.
Say hello.
please.
Chierstin and I are going to be there. Sean, are
Should
you
not
going?
be any tarantulas there.
There will not be any
Yes.
tarantulas at our Suns
Sorry,
takeover.
Chris.
Just delicious food from the Ainsworth. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Friday at 12:30.
Bye.
Bye.